Alright, in this video I'm going to show you the basics of how to set up a drawing. So we've already got our parts made, and now we're ready to take those 3D parts and place them onto a drawing, which in Inventor is a completely separate file type. There are 4 basic file types in Inventor: parts, drawings, assemblies, and presentations. So when we do the actual modeling, we're making parts, and now we're ready to make a drawing. The first drawing I'm going to make is just a typical English unit drawing. If I needed metric though, rather than using this welcome screen, I would want to come up here to the new button, which brings up this dialog box, which gives me a few more options. And from there I can choose English or metric. So if I needed metric, I would go to metric, standard millimeter IPT. IPT is the file extension for an Inventor part. Oh, I'm sorry, that's for a part. I need a drawing, which is an IDW. So down here, if I wanted to create a metric drawing, I would want to choose the ANSI millimeter IDW drawing. I don't, though. I want to stick with English, so I go to English, Drawings, ANSI inch IDW. It takes a few moments to load, and here we see the drawing. Just using the default title block and border created by Inventor. And first thing you'll notice is that this is a D size sheet. This is a very large sheet, and D size would probably only be used for a very large mechanical assembly or maybe even an architectural type drawing. So we don't need a D size sheet for any of our parts. So the first thing I'm going to do over here in the model browser where it says sheet 1, right click on that and go to edit sheet. From here we can select a different size. An A size sheet is 8.5 by 11. That's just your typical copier or printer paper. B is going to be twice that size, an 11 by 17. I think a B size sheet will be adequate for all of our parts. So some of them we can use an A size sheet, but if we want to be consistent, let's just choose a B and use that throughout. So the title block seems a lot larger. It actually has stayed the same size. It's just that everything else has gotten smaller. This sheet is now 11 inches tall by 17 inches wide. So I need to place my part onto the drawing. And the way I do that is to first place a base view and browse to where you have the file saved. Mine took me directly to the folder because it was the most recent thing I was editing. You might have to do a little hunting. If you use a project file, it should take you directly to the folder where all of your parts are saved. So I'm going to create the bracket 3.1. That was the first part assignment we did. And I'm going to choose to open. And let's take a look at a few of the options here. This visual style. Yes, we do want to see hidden lines. If we did not want to see hidden lines, we could remove them, or we could make the view shaded, but I'm just going to leave that as hidden lines for now. The scale, you can edit the scale at this time. Inventor chooses a scale for you that it thinks will work, but of course Inventor is not always right. In this particular case, a 1:1 scale is just fine. And what I would like you to do for all of these assignments is to essentially recreate what was given to you in the assignment for the most part. Occasionally you might need to create some additional views. But for this particular assignment, we see a top view, a front view, and an isometric view. So for this particular drawing, I would like you to recreate these views. So we can either create the top view and then project the front view from that view, or we can make the front view our base view and project it up to make the top. Since Inventor is just wanting to give me this top view, I'm going to let it do that and click OK. And I'll just move this up here. And then from this view, I will project the front view. So rather than placing another base view, which would be independent, I want to place a dependent projected view. And it chose this view because there's only one view existing in the drawing right now. If there were multiple views, I'd have to select which view I wanted to project from. But it selected it for me automatically, and I just have to drag that view down to project it. And to finish that, I'll right-click and create. I'm going to make the isometric view as its own independent base view. So again, I'll browse and select the part. Using the view cube here, then I can select the orientation that I want. I want the same orientation that was given in the assignment. And isometric views don't necessarily need to be the same scale as the orthographic views, but in this case I think I will just choose a 1-to-1. The thing I do want to change though is I want to make this a shaded view. And then to move a view, rather than clicking on the part itself, this red box that surrounds it, you can click on that to drag the view. You can double click on it to bring up the drawing properties. You can edit some things here like the visual style, the scale, things like that. So I'll position that where I want it. Move these over a bit. Exact position doesn't matter. The nice thing about Inventor, since it projects the views in this way, it's impossible not to have these two views aligned with each other, so long as you have actually projected one view from the other. If I had placed two independent base views, then that would allow me to move them out of alignment, which of course I do not want to do. So project the views, that forces the alignment, which is good. Now, if I zoom in here, I can see it has added the hidden lines where the hidden lines go. You don't have to do that yourself manually, but you do need to add center lines. This is probably one of the most overlooked things in Inventor drawings, is students forget to add the center lines. So on the Annotate tab, I've got several different center line options for just drawing a line, a center line bisector, adding a single center mark, or multiple center marks in a pattern. I'm just going to make individual center marks and basically go through and choose anywhere where I have an arc or a circle. Okay, so I've got those 4 center marks in the top view. In the front view, I'm going to use the centerline bisector. All you have to do is choose 2 parallel lines, and it creates a center line that goes exactly in between them. Now, it could be argued that maybe we would need some vertical center lines here to align with the ends of the slot, but that's something that can be omitted because it just kind of tends to confuse that front view a little bit. So we're going to just leave those out. So I think adding those 4 center marks, that vertical center line, are adequate. Now we just need to go through and add the dimensions. And again, we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. We just need to duplicate the dimensions that are given to us in the assignment. Now, that first dimension comes up with only 2 decimal places. And in the assignment, the majority of the dimensions given to us, in fact, all of them, it looks like, have 3 decimal places. So how do I change that? Now that I've created one dimension, I'll right-click on it. I need to escape out of my dimension command. Right-click, edit dimension style, and wait for it to come up. There we go, and change the precision level. So you can change them individually, but since all of our dimensions have 3 decimal places, it's best to just do it for all of them. So now you just need to go through and add all of these dimensions. Okay, and I think in the interest of saving some time on this video rather than adding all the dimensions myself, I'm going to skip ahead to the title block because that's another thing that confuses students. And it makes sense. You would think that you could just click right on the title block to add that information, and yet when you do that, nothing happens. So the way to add information to the title block is to go over to the model browser all the way up to the very top where the name of your drawing is. Right click on it and go to iProperties. And then on the Summary tab, we can add some information here. The main information I think you need to add is the title, which would be the name of the part. Now I know this is Skills Exercise 3.1, but Skills Exercise 3.1 doesn't really tell us anything about what kind of part this is. I would prefer that you add the name of the part. And if you read the assignment, it says, in this exercise, you create a bracket. So that's what this is. It's a bracket. Subject. I don't think this is going to appear in the title block, but if you want, you could add MECH 1100. Company is where you can add Zane State College. And under project, under part number, this is where you could add 3.1. This is assignment 3.1. And designer, it has my name there, but it's not capitalized. Let's capitalize my name. And I think that might be it. Let's hit OK here and look at the title block. It still kept it as lowercase. That's okay. So it did add Zane State College as the company. It adds bracket as the name of the part. It automatically tells us the size of the sheet and the scale of the drawing. The drawing number showed up as 3.1. I entered that in, and it's sheet 1 of 1. So, there is no revision. This is not a revision. This is the original drawing. And I think that's really all you need to add is those pieces of information. So the company, the name, and the number. Add those 3 things, and you should be good. Okay, so other than adding the rest of the dimensions, this drawing is done. So this is basically how I want you to set up all of your drawings with the adequate number of orthographic views. This particular part only required a top and front view. I could have added a side view, but that really wouldn't have given me any additional information I don't already have. And an isometric view that is shaded. Make sure to remember to add all the center lines and update the title block information. Save it, and then go on to the next part.